So we are in Blender with the prop barrel, the props for the barrel anyway. So we need to split them up. Now I'm just going to do it really simple. I'm just going to select each one and I'm going to say split first of all. I thought it was split, but I guess not. Or is it separate? Separate selection. Okay, there we go. Then let's do this for each one. Let's do that. Two more. Well, actually only one more. I'm just pressing space. Let's see what actually happened here. Okay, so before I export all of them, I will actually like to have the pivot on the center. So let's try and place them over there. And I think it is set pivot. How was it? Object mode, view select. Yeah, object set origin to I'm just going to say origin to 3D cursor. Okay, and I'm going to hide everyone I fix. The origin will play a little bit of role when we add the physics to them. Don't have to be really precise with this, but whatever. Okay, then take all of that. And now we just need to export each one of them. Now I'm not going to sit through all of them and export them. I'm just going to pause the video and export them. Okay, so I just exported one, and as you can see, we now have them as separate meshes. And I think we have one more or two more that we don't actually need, whatever. Okay, so there's two ways to do this. We could create a particle. That's actually a different particle, so let's just move that on the side. We could create a particle system like this. Let's say we want it to rotate upwards and gravity modifier will be 1. Then for the renderer, we're actually going to be emitting a mesh, and those meshes are going to be, let's see. Okay, there is a chance that this is actually now okay, has the correct size. Okay, we don't need to cast this one. Let's throw something else. Let's find this. Tensor material 1, okay. Okay, you can see the size, the scale is kind of meh. I think maybe we can change this to no. Okay. So I'm going to change the start size to 100. Okay, so it's the actual size. Now, of course, it's not going to loop, and duration can just be 1. Start lifetime can be 10. Start speed can just be 1. Okay, so I'm going to add more meshes, pretty much all of them. Let's see, we have 4, 7, and 8. Okay, we can only cast only 4 of them. Okay, let's change start speed to 3. Okay, then let's change the emission rate over time to 4. We don't have a lot of control, however, which of this is cast. So we'll see what we'll do there. I'm going to enable collisions, however. I'm going to say with world. And this might start giving us a few problems because they start to collide with everything. So right off the bat, you see that they're kind of problematic already. So let's ignore the idea and let's create an empty game object that we're going to say destroyed. Then I'm going to drop this in here. Let's unpack it. Then to all of them, I'm going to add a box collider and a rigid body. We can, of course, place them properly, however you see fit. I have this on. You can also, you know, probably box collider is a bad idea. So let's maybe just add a mesh collider. I'm just going to do it like this. I don't really care that much to do anything else. You get the idea. Okay, and let's close that. Then let's enable this. Okay, and let's duplicate this just for fun. And let's hit play. So we pretty much prettify a little bit our prop interactions. And that sent us flying because it's too many, because it's too many physics objects. So we need to place this into a layer that are not being interacted with our controller. So let's switch this to Ragdoll then. I'm actually just going to delete this one and Let's see, all of them should be set to ragdoll. Now there is one other thing, however, that these objects, since they do have a collider on top of them, well, most of them at least, they are still going to be looking on the prop barrel as well, so it's going to run that as well. So if we say, well, actually we don't need to do it like that, we can just drop this. Oops, come on. Okay, so I'm going to copy this, I'm going to place this in here, then I'm going to remove this one from this. So this will close the object now that has the controller, so it's not going to be able to be interacted again, and it's just going to open the destroyed object. Okay, let's give this a shot then. Worst it can happen, it could crash Unity, but we have already done so many times. Yeah, okay, that still doesn't work. Are we interacting with... Let's see. Let's see on our physics. Let's see our layers. And yeah, we do have ragdoll to interact with everything pretty much. So let's maybe ignore that entirely. We only want ground and other ragdolls. Let's try this. I think it might also play into the scale of these objects, because I think the scale was a little bit whatever. Nope, it's still sending us up. Okay, so I'm going to try one thing. I'm going to set this as triggers, because I want to know if what's actually sending us in the air is the physics interactions, or we have a problem with our controller. I'd like to know which one it is. Yeah, it's the physics interactions. That's what was happening. What's weird though is why, because we don't really have anything. Let's see. Well, since these are in the ragdoll layer and the ragdoll layer does not interact with anything we do, I don't know why we got triggered. Let's see what happens if we just simply attack this guy. Yeah, that still happens. So let's maybe try a different layer. Let's call this ignore, and then everything here, set this to ignore. Then on our physics, that's the ignore. Yeah, I think we actually had this wrong. So ignore can only interact with ignore and ignore. Let's try this. Yeah, apparently. I think it has to do with their scale though. Those are scaled up to 100. So maybe let's remove this one and let's try and fix that from the scale. Okay, so we'll say scale factor, convert units. Let's do scale factor of 100. Okay, that's way too much. Let's change the scale then back to 1. That's even way higher, so that's more like it. Okay, let's see what we have. Oops. Yeah, okay, so this is actually a problem with from Blender, exporting it from Blender. We forgot to do object reset transform. You can see that now scale is at 1. So let's export again. Yeah, so it's actually apply transform. Apply rotation scale. And now it should be correct. Okay, so let's unpack this. Well, first of all, let's just assign only one box collider and a rigid body and see how that behaves. Okay, that worked. So let's try adding all the rest then. Let's delete this and this. So I'm going to select all of them. I'm going to add a mesh collider, which is convex, and a rigid body. Of course, collision should be discrete. Okay, let's just use this. Yeah, so we see how even the scale plays, even the scale of the imported object plays a big role into calculating physics. Okay, so I think the rest is just adding the material. And you can place them wherever you want. I'm kind of bored to do this right now, so just move them around. Let's hit play and test this out. And voila, you see that we now have our destroyed objects. Let's give that another shot. Awesome. So obviously we can also set them to ignore, to the ignore layer, so they do not change how far, so they do not really change how the height of our player, so where he can walk or not. And that should do it. That should be it. So what we learned today is always apply scale and transform to your objects that you're going to be using with physics, because they break your calculations. And we can still work on them, apparently. We can still walk onto them because we need to change our controller. We need to also say on the on ground that the ignore for ground check also should include the, I think it's the 13th layer. Let's take a look. It's the 13th layer as well. Let that compile. Yeah, so Unity crashed again, but you get the idea. So, you know what, let's end the video over here. We don't really need it for something else. On the next part, we're actually going to do the chests, the chest interactions, and so on and so on. So, that's it for this part. As always, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, and if you like to see more stuff, more videos, more Unity crashing, then consider supporting my Patreon so we can keep making all of these nice things we're making. I'll see you next time.